the park from the street in front of his house. Each bank of shrubs concealed the next section of the path, and he always liked the surprise of reaching the end of one bank to suddenly gain the vista of the next. In the first section, banks of flowers, blooming white in the night, escaped their beds and crowded the path. Ipomaea. Without thinking, he remembered the flower's proper name, and without wanting to, Sophia's hand warm in his, teaching him the names of the night-blooming flowers as they walked through her uncle's gardens. "Name it right and I'll give you a kiss." "Will you not kiss me if I name it wrong?" "You'll have to name it and see, but I'll tell you a secret. If you drink in the scent when it blooms, like now, you'll have visions and dreams while you sleep, and they always come true." "I don't need dreams, I already have you." Then he had kissed her, naming all the flowers by their botanical names in a line, from her lips down her neck and to her breasts and back to her mouth, until her kisses, sweet against his lips, turned mad with longing. In his youth and inexperience, he'd mistaken her fervour for love. He pushed the memory away. Had he taken her advice and slept, not in her arms but in the scent of the flowers, he might have known she would betray him. Instead, the wound she'd struck festered still, leaving him a future as bleak as his past. The moonflower's scent was delicate, familiar, but not the source of the heady hyacinth-like perfume that pulled him deeper into the garden. Along the next curve of the path, the moonlight fell on a bank of tall flowers covered with whorls of white and pink blossoms. Their scent was so rich that its sweetness echoed on his tongue. He did not know their name, and he found their anonymity comforting. As he stood, he sensed the presence of someone or something. At the opposite end of a long bed of flowers, a figure emerged out of the darkness into a pool of moonlight. The figure turned slowly toward him, revealing a woman in a long hooded cloak that fell almost to the ground. Her face came fully into the moonlight. He would have known her, the shape of her face, the contours of her cheeks, even if it had been pure dark. When her eyes met his, he felt trapped, paralyzed, as the body does at the end of dreams when not fully awake. He didn't attempt to speak. She wasn't real. Instead, he stood, fists clenched, his heart beating fast, waiting for her to disappear. She seemed unsurprised to see him, as if she'd been waiting for his arrival. In one hand she held a cutting of the plant, its white blooms still open. She lifted the other hand slightly, palm up, to welcome him or ask for forgiveness, he didn't know. She paused, watching his face. Then she stepped back into the darkness. He knew not to follow. In the pool of light, a white blossom lay on the ground. Sophia Gardiner, Lady Wilmot, kept to the darkest parts of the path, cursing. He hadn't recognised her, she consoled herself. He couldn't have. It had been too long, and she was much changed. Her face had lost the winsome fullness of youth. Her lips had thinned with worry and determination, and her eyes carried the sadness of one who had long lived with death. But what if she were wrong? At the end of the park, her hands struggled against the latch of the iron gate, tearing the skin at her knuckles. She ignored the pain, looking over her shoulder into the darkness. Only darkness. The gate pulled free, but she forced herself to close it quietly behind her, lest the sound betray her escape. Past the gate, she needed only to reach the corner, then a turn would protect her from sight. His sight. She'd risked the night to see the Nottingham catchfly, Silene Newton's, she could hear her father correcting. They only flowered for 3 nights. That afternoon her son Ian had brought her a spent white flower, asking her to name it, and she had been unable to resist the pull to smell its richness once more. The last time she had been 7, her mother still alive. On each night of its blossoming, she, her mother and her father had walked through the fields until they reached the spot where the scent overwhelmed their senses. Afterwards they celebrated with savoury biscuits flavoured with rosemary and candied lemon peel. She turned the corner and leaned back against the cold wall, listening for the sound of his pursuit. But she heard only the hard beat of her heart. She had planned to propagate the cutting in her hothouse, Then show Ian.